Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Rise with Miss Phoenix. I am your host, Miss Phoenix. Here is where we give everyday people the platform for them to express their opinions, tell their journeys, tell their stories, to inspire someone, to encourage someone, all so that they can become better individuals, a better them. Today, I have my special guest, someone I love very dearly, Jehyve Floyd. He is here with us. He is an author. He's a professional basketball player. He is so many things, but I'm gonna let you tell him. I'm gonna let him tell you about him. Jehyve, you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, how y'all doing? My name is Jehyve Floyd. I'm 24 years old. I'm an author. I wrote my first book last year, published it. I'm also a professional basketball player. I play overseas. This is my third year I play in Turkey right now, almost towards the end of the season. Can't wait to get home to the States, to enjoy the fam. But other than that, I'm just another individual who live by faith and want to impact the world in some way to make a difference.
All right. Listen, guys, we're going to talk today about his book. It's called Godfidence. You're going to be able to go pick it up. He's going to tell you where you can find his book at. So let's talk about the book.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to write this book?
This was around a time where I was reading a lot of books. So I was reading memoirs, biographies, and I was able to see how other people can use their stories to impact others. And me, I think I could do everything. So I'm like, man, I can do this. So as during a rough time in my life, where my first year overseas, first professional year, I got cut, and it shattered everything in me, like my confidence, my identity. I was like, am I made out to be a professional basketball player? Should I go back home? I felt like I was a disappointment to the family. And I just started writing. I just started, okay, let me switch something up. I just started writing down my thoughts, trying to get out of a rough spot. It took a couple months, but I guess those notes that I got down started to like click into something I can use to inspire others. Because I was telling myself, there's no way I'm the only person going through this, who struggle with doubt and who grew up in the church, but you still struggling with your faith. So I'm like, especially as a role model, as an athlete, we have a crazy platform. So I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to use my story to be vulnerable and open up about myself outside the court. So that was the reason why I wrote my book.
Okay. And you chose this title, Godfidence. What made you, out of everything, like you said, you were reading books, you was reading other people memoirs, and a lot of people write the books and they just name it after them, self-title or things like that. But it made, like, you chose this Godfidence.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because that was just something that really clicked, because at first my first title was supposed to be More Than a Pastor's Kid, because that was just one of my identities that I went through my whole life, that I struggled with trying to connect that in basketball.
Right.
But confidence was something that was more universal, where that's something I live by every day. It's a reminder that that I can't do it by myself, that I need God. Confidence isn't the all in all be all, because you can have so much confidence, but you have so much trauma that you're still trying to heal from. Like, that's not going to allow you to do the things that you really want to do in life. So to me, confidence is me saying I am nothing without God, and it's just a trademark that I need to live with, like, every day, because remember,
it's like a self-reminder to yourself. Listen, I'm not in this by myself. I have the confidence, but I only can have confidence because I have God with us. You said something that most people struggle with. Like, a lot of people struggle with the identity. Pastor's kid, growing up in the church. You guys are kind of held to a different, people want to look at you in a different light, a different standard. Forget that you're human. Forget that you have your own identity. And so like you were saying, you were going through so much stuff. Then you talked about trauma. I've had many guests on here, and we talked about mental issues. We've talked about suicide. We've done childhood trauma. Like, so much stuff that you might have been dealing with personally. And now you can't really express it or can't really show it, because now you have this, a PK, a pastor's kid.
Right,
You know,
right.
my parents is in ministry. A lot of things is hush hush. So I know you touched on some of the issues within your book, but like now, just thinking back now, what is it? Some things that you wish that you did differently or would have done differently now that you're here now, but you're looking back on your life then.
I mean, I think one thing is I opened up the book about my first thought of suicide.
Mhm.
Looking back, I wish I took therapy back then more
Yes.
seriously. You know, in the Black community and in the church community, therapy,
Yes.
you're just crazy. Like,
Right.
yeah, this is it's a stigma with mental health. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You just acting up. You acting out your way, and you talk about being a pastor's kid. You have to be perfect and
Mm-hmm.
hold it together for the family. So you're
Right.
sacrificing your well-being for the image, whether
Right.
the image is good or bad.
Right.
So it's like I wish back then I took that more seriously because I probably would have been able to let go of a lot of things that I held on to, which my book gave me the opportunity to. It was more like my book was more like a vomit, like all this stuff that I held on to. I'm
Right.
like putting on paper,
Right.
and obviously some people can relate and some people can't because being honest and vulnerable is rare in our community. So I just wanted to be the one to step out on faith, and be an example.
Right. Because like you said, you have to be transparent. And when
Mhm.
you being transparent, you never know the outcome of it. You know, it is self healing for yourself. It's self therapy for yourself
Mhm.
because, like you said, you carry so much stuff, and you have to look good for the image. And sometimes, you know the backstory, while other people don't really know the backstory of what's going on. So
Mhm.
you go through a lot of things, like you said, and I'll share with many guests. Like it's really frowned upon in our community. No,
Mhm.
you don't need to go talk to nobody. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Ain't not,
Right.
it's all. But no, we deal with some real deep issues that you need guidance on. How to talk about guidance of things. So even with that, even with in your book, you talked about a lot of different things that you dealt with and you faced. So once you release the book and people begin to read the book, what was your response? Sometimes we get the response, and then we get like, really? Why did you tell that? Or why did you
Yeah,
share this?
for sure. I got both.
Okay.
And it's crazy because like the more the strangers who saw this, because I did play the part of the pastor kid. I wanted to be that perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
I was good at it, but I
Right.
knew it was detrimental. So for strangers, it was like, wow, like I didn't know that you were carrying all that while
Mm-hmm.
they were like more impressed with me because they didn't know I was carrying so much in the background. But then there's family members like, oh, you putting our business out. But it's like I tell them, is like it's through my perception and how my
Right.
experience is. Like it was not for me to tell anybody, but it's just how I felt. And obviously, I didn't get the responses I want. Like obviously, like my mom was one person who was like, "Yo," she just apologized for not even knowing that this
Right.
is things I was carrying. And then there's other family members who was like, just we haven't talked since I released the book. So it's like it's that's the stuff you have to carry. But
Yes.
hey, I try, I want to be an example. I know I'm a natural born leader, and that's the things you'd have to deal with.
And sometimes you have to, like, the healing. I tell people healing is for yourself first. In order for you to be a better individual, you have to go back to the very foundation, the very beginning of where it was broken to try to heal. And it affects in life. I had a guest on here and we was talking about, so many times we talk about women and their emotions and what they go through, and we tune to not shine the spotlight on men. Men have childhood trauma. Men go through different things, and they carry the load real differently. And as you were saying, like of course, you have some people who are not happy that you told the truth, or you shared,
That's
or
crazy how that sounds crazy, but it's the
yeah,
truth.
that you told the truth. You told the reality. And you shined a light on what was real facts, and I'm happy that in some aspects you got different response from different people, because that just helps you to understand, or just to see. Like I like to say, sometimes other people have trauma and they
Mhm.
don't know how to deal with their trauma,
Right.
so they mask their trauma, and then when someone else's exposing trauma,
They're triggered. They're triggered.
it goes back to them. So now, because now they're forced to deal with their trauma, they don't want to face the reality of what it is.
Right. And it's what I said in my book is my truth. And there's
Right.
like I learned there's three truths. There's your truth, the other person's truth, and God's truth.
Right.
And we're all, entitled to our own truth. But you can't tell me that it's not truth because you feel like your truth is better than my truth. So that's something we go through in society, and that's something I had to come to terms with. And you just have to live in your truth, because that's the only way you'll be able to heal, like you said, is for yourself. Like, you don't want to be living life all caged up mentally, spiritually. Like, that's just tough. That's just a tough way to live.
Yeah, it's like I say all the time. I'm like, we're masked so much. We're still in a pandemic. Some places you wear masks, some places you don't. And even with that,
you was wearing masks before the COVID.
Yeah, we was masked before COVID. So now you just got another mask on top of a mask, and so much stuff you don't talk about. We're not talking about this. We don't share this. You don't share that. You can't share your feelings. If you feel this way, a lot of times, especially as parents, we say to kids, they try to express their feelings. Oh, you being smart, or you talking back, or whatever. So now I can't share you how I feel. So now it's internal. And then when things start happening, we're like, well, what's going on with the kids? You didn't give them an outlet to speak.
So let me ask you this. Like, how we were raised, where the kids didn't have that opportunity to speak their truth.
Yes.
How do you think that affected our generation?
It was so much, I say, because many times we go back to how we were raised.
Mm-hmm.
And even with your generation and my generation, like, it was, if you said something, you was talking back.
Right.
If you was, you don't say that, or you don't, I got the last word is what I say.
Mm-hmm.
But my feelings is valid. So a lot of times it teaches you to suppress feelings. And so I feel like because we didn't teach the next generation to be open and not look at everything as being disrespectful, and let them know that they have a voice, so much stuff got suppressed and so much damage happened that when they grow up, it affects them as individuals.
And it affects your relationship with your parent, because now I can't go to you. I don't feel comfortable to go to you because you're looking down upon me instead of we're more human than human.
Right. I realized, and I say that, I'm a parent, but I say that to my parent. Like, I said a whole lot that I have a better relationship as an adult now than as growing up as you with my parent, because there was a lot of things that I couldn't express to you, or I felt and I dealt with in a way that when I became a parent, I was like, no, it's important for me to be able. So even with my own children, I say all the time, what's going on? Talk to me. Mm-hmm. You can always talk to me. Even if you feel like it's going to hurt my feelings, your voice matters. I don't ever want you to feel silent about certain situations. We can get over it and we can deal with it, but do not suppress it. And I find myself like trying to make sure that they know that it's okay, because I know myself what I needed. I shared, I had went through a lot of mental issues. I had dealt with suicide. I dealt with a lot of different things that I really didn't share or express. And I've been telling a lot of people lately, like, I've, in some incidents, was masked in a whole lot of different things. But then I realized, even as an adult, even the older and older I got, was like, listen, this has affected me in so many areas that it's time for healing. And the only way healing is like you said, for me to tell my truth.
Right.
You said something in your book. You said the sun will not shine as bright if it was not for rainy days.
You ain't gonna come out. You ain't gonna come out the storm the same person. You ain't gonna come out the storm the same person.
Yeah.
And I think to even to your point, what you were just saying, my book is basically everything starts at home. How we act in the outside world starts at home. So for me, I want to break the cycle of being having to suppress your emotions, having to be quiet or suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
I want to break that. That's one of my biggest inspirations or aspirations, I would say. Is when I have a family, is to have an open house, like being able.
Right.
My kids are able to. They know their voice is valid and that their
Mm-hmm.
feelings are valid, and I'm not gonna talk to them as if like they are, even from the young age, because that's when you can learn and you can shine outside in the world, because
Mm-hmm.
you're taught to shine in the house. Like
Right.
obviously there's guidelines and there's have to be some respect, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't be something like I shouldn't scare you to respect me. I should earn
Right.
respect through conversation and how I treat you as just a human being. So that's something I just learned throughout my years, going to college and just experiencing so many different relationships with other people. I'm like, oh, this is healthy and this is unhealthy. So
Right.
I have to unlearn the unhealthy so I
Right.
can, have these healthy relationships.
Right. Hold that thought, because we're going to come right back with that. Guys, we'll be right back. We're going to break. We'll be right back with more with Jehyve Floyd. We're going to talk. We're going to go back to that statement he just made, but we'll be right back after this commercial. Hello, everybody. We're back. We're back with more with On the Rise with Miss Phoenix. I'm back with my guest, Jehyve Floyd. Jehyve said something before we broke. He was talking about how if we don't deal with it, it will affect us with our relationships. So, with that being said, with you said this was birth. You wrote this book about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrote it during a time where you were going through some things in your life. How did some of the stuff that you experienced affect you in relationships with people?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we were talking about the sibling relationships. We were talking about how, yeah, when we confess our trauma within the house, there's always the next person saying, "Well, mine was worse," and
Right.
like and debating on who trauma was the worst. But at the end of the day, we all went through the same thing. We had the same parents, and obviously they're trying to heal from their situation with their parents. So we
Yeah.
all obviously intertwined with that. I mean, I think me, like around the time when I was writing the book, where I was gathering so much information about stuff I wasn't even like thought about,
Okay.
would trigger down to it. Um, I learned a lot from my siblings of what was going down, understand why we are what we are in terms of like, with the divorce and how that affected all of us.
Right.
But yeah, it obviously it plays a part. You see how we all have similar issues, but we express them differently.
Right.
And so that's something I learned as I was writing my book.
Being that you come from a lot of people who come from families that have separated and just different things, and like you said, it's a dealing there, something that you have to deal with, so relationship wise, while dating and things like that, did that have an effect on you, or was it something that you were just like, wait a minute, maybe I'll get serious, but I'm not gonna get too serious, so I'm not gonna do this because of what I've seen?
Nah, I've actually was the opposite. I was like, I'm gonna be the one to make it right. Like
Okay.
I've always like I got married young. I got married at 24. But I was always looking for my wife, looking for the person I'm gonna start my life with, because I was like, I know there can be better just based on my experience with my parents getting divorced and how it tore my family. But one thing I learned writing my book is like childhood trauma affects the romantic relationships, because you're basically reenacting what you saw within your mom and dad, both of y'all. So, and also one thing, you attract one of your parents, or you're looking for one of your parents in your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine if you had a bad relationship with your father or your mother, and and you are with this person who resembles them. So you're
Right.
triggered every time they do something that
Right.
triggers you, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like trying to figure out why is it messing with you so much until you realize that's something I dealt with my parents. And it's crazy. It's all of us go through that. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of us do.
Do you find yourself, like you said, you're married now, with your wife? Like
Mm-hmm.
certain things happen and you go back to, oh, I know where this came from. Or and even with that, you might have, maybe she didn't have any major childhood trauma. So
Mm-hmm.
with dating you and you healing, it's a process on its own, because sometimes it's a challenge loving those who are still learning to love themselves.
Oh my gosh, that was a bar. That was a bar. But no, that's the ultimate. I talk about that in my book. That's the ultimate um, issue. I mean, the
Yeah.
one thing I say in the book is childhood, like understanding your partner's childhood trauma is the ultimate love.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really sitting down trying to understand so you can help them in their process of healing. I know for
Mm-hmm.
me, once I realized I needed to heal and love myself, I was on go. I'm like every situation I'm trying to learn from, and I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to take control of the relationship also with her healing, but had to understand that we won't heal at the same pace. That was one
Right.
thing that I had to like go through. I'm like, no, we had to learn this. She was like, she wasn't there yet. She wasn't there when
Right.
she had to realize, okay, I have childhood trauma. Because I'm like, nah, but your mom did this to you, so I'm doing you bringing it to the relationship, and she just didn't comprehend that.
Right.
And she like obviously she wasn't there, and
Mm-hmm.
it caused friction. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, you ain't trying to get in my healing journey, and
Right.
it really is for me. It's not for
Right.
her. She's just bringing it out of me what I need to work on.
Right.
So that's something I learned. But it's tough because now she's starting to see her childhood trauma
Uh-huh.
and like daddy issues, mommy issues, all of that stuff
Right.
intertwines of communication.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Acts of service. Like the
Yeah.
love languages and stuff
Love
like
languages.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something I'm learning. I'm only I have to slow down because I'm only 24. I need to, just live also while trying to heal. I think that's the balance I'm trying to figure out now.
When you're healing, when you're on your road, your recovery, you're on your road to recovery. You're on your road to healing. Um, Sometimes you're athlete and we get injured. And I say, when I tore my ACL, I wasn't used to being couldn't do certain stuff. It went from, okay, no pressure on your leg, you're on crutches. Now you can use crutches and you can apply a little bit of pressure. Then it was like no crutches, now you're on a cane. And I'm like, I don't want the cane. I can walk around the house fine. Why do I have to take the cane when I go outside?
Right.
But the doc, he kept saying, it's a process. While you may feel okay, it's going to be times where it's going to show signs of some still injured. You're still hurt. You're still
Mhm.
healing. While the outside may look good, the inside is still recovering. So it has to be steps. And like you said, you gotta like you was like while you're on fire, like I know what I need to do. I
Yeah.
have to slow down and enjoy the process of it,
Mhm.
because you might miss it. And
Right.
then you miss the chance of, wow, you see somebody else and be like, oh, I remember that step in the process. But
Right.
if you rush past it, now you're just looking like, what? I don't understand it, but because you missed
You
that
missed
point.
it. You missed the lesson. Yep.
Like you said, you said it's for you. Like you was like, I had to understand that although I may see a reflection, it's for me. So I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, I do this mirror challenge, and I know my viewers is like, she always brings up this mirror thing. But it's very important. It's called the mirror challenge, where I tell people you go in front of the mirror and you fully look at yourself. So many times we only go in the mirror to take a picture, make sure our clothes is okay, and we rush out. But the
Mhm.
mirror image is for you to stand in that mirror as long as possible and fully reflect and see yourself. See yourself for who you are, flaws, mistakes, whatever. And then say, I love this person.
Mhm.
And because you love this person, the stuff that you see that you may not like, you're willing to look at and change.
Mhm.
Because so many times when we're unmasked, that's what we're saying to the world. This is me. Mistakes, scars, flaws, brokenness, trauma, everything. I need for you to accept me fully so that I can become a better me and I can heal.
Right.
So when you said that, that just made me see, like you was like talking, you was like, I see. And that was a reflection of while you see her reflection,
Mhm.
she was not yet ready to look in the mirror
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
to fully see it.
Yeah.
So we start seeing the things like I had a guest on here and he was just talking about how men show signs differently. And because he brought awareness to some things, I've started looking at, I'm in a high school. So I was like, wow, I never noticed that's why that kid act like that. Or this, you understand what I'm saying? Because now, he was just talking about signs and just different things with trauma, like how boys are different from girls and how they express it. And so I began to see it and was like, wow, it's so much in our community, especially with our young Black males, that your story is a much needed story. Just like, his, that when he was on here, it's a much needed story that others can see it. And it's just not for the adults. Like, even if you read the book, you need to go back and see, like, why am I the way I am?
Right. That's the ultimate question too. If I feel like that's when you start going on your healing journey is when you can ask yourself, because you got to look in the mirror to ask. Like if you're not looking in the mirror, I just watched a Kanye's documentary and his mom told him it was like giants can't see themselves. Like
No.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're not going to look in the mirror, you're not going to be able to ask yourself that question: what makes me me, or why am I? Because the people nowadays is like, well, that's just the way I am. Nah, it's not going to work. Like you're not going to be able to build a healthy relationship that's sustainable if that's what you want. But I mean, you learn as you go, because even a year from now, some of the words I wrote in there feel so far gone. I'm in a new era. I can write a whole different book right now. But like I said, I have to slow down and maybe revisit what I was saying before to continue to try to live in the lessons I was learning a year ago.
Because you're a different person. Like you said, you're growing each year, each experience, like you said, you're not the same person that went through. And in life, we go through many stages, many different things. And if you are the same, that means you're not growing. You didn't learn from it. You didn't experience. As a player, each game is a different game.
Right.
When you guys come back and you look at the film, you look at it and you be like, oh, I see what we can do differently when we play whoever we come up. But if you never go back and look at the film,
you're not going to be able to know where you can
better
yourself. And some people don't like watching themselves. That's just one thing about it. That's where the courage comes in. Like, you have to have courage to even take that step.
What is one thing that you want your readers to take away from this book?
I think, and it goes to the audience I'm searching for, especially for people who grew up in the church, to lean into your humanity, even though we're told that it's how you say carnal? It's carnal. You have to lean into, because that's what you're living with. Like the Bible can tell you all the things to do, but they're not telling you how to do it. So you need to find a balance between our faith and religion and what's actually going on inside of us. Like we have to figure out how to use what God is saying to manage our anxiety, use what God is saying to manage our depression. Because if you're not trying to find those two, you're going to continue to live in that mask. You're going to,
Right.
okay, God's telling me to do that, but you have to figure out how to do it, because the Bible was written so many years ago. Some things you can't relate to right now. So so now you have to lean into going to therapy, trying to figure out, like you said, why are you the way you are, and trying to balance between faith and humanity. I think that's one thing, because even after the book, I'm like, I don't believe. I didn't even comprehend that before I wrote the book. Like,
Okay.
like, because it was like what the Bible says, I need to live by it. But
Right.
I'm asking how am I supposed to live by it? And there's so many sources out there for you to learn and try to figure out what's the best way to live. Because at the end of the day, you want your peace, and at the end of the day, that's what God wants for you. And any other way, it's not godly if you're not at peace with yourself every day.
Right. Right. Guys, we're going to break one more time, and we'll be back with Jehyve's final thoughts, final words, and where we can find him at, and how you can stay in contact with him, how you can get this book, how you can have him on your show if you want to talk about Godfidence. And we're going to see what's next for him. We'll be right back. We are back. Thank you for tuning in and being on this journey and this talk. We've had an awesome time, awesome interview with Jehyve Floyd. I'm going to back away, and he's going to give us his final thoughts. He's going to tell you guys how you can follow him on social media, how you can get this book, and any other things that he wants to impart. Here you go. The floor is yours, Jehyve.
I appreciate y'all for having me on this platform. This is a great platform for people to speak their truth and, build community and, get to know one another and, have people feel more safe with their feelings and emotions. But you can follow me on Instagram at Fetty_Floyd. You can also follow me on Twitter, Jehyve_Floyd. I also have my own podcast, Brick Talk Pod. We go live every 2 weeks. You can follow us on Instagram at Brick Talk Pod. And also you can go get the book on Amazon. You can type in Jehyve Floyd, you can type it in Godfidence, and you'll find it. And I would want to appreciate Miss Phoenix for inviting me, and I had a great time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jehyve, for coming on. There is a big time difference, and I appreciate you taking out the time to be on with us tonight. I wish you much success with your book, with your healing journey. I wish you much success in your career. I'm going to speak championships. I can't wait to see you with a trophy, championships that you guys have won. I believe that you guys can do it. I've been watching your journey. Many of you don't know, Jehyve I didn't have kids. He was my first son. So there's so much love there for him and just what he has accomplished. Listen, guys, Godfidence. It's a must read. It talks about his story, but it also gives you some insight on some things that you can apply to your own life when it comes to getting over trauma, dealing with mental issues, dealing with beginning to love yourself again. I say it all the time. No one can love you until you first love yourself. Know who you are. It's very important. Know your worth. Know that you are worth loving. Knowing that you can set standards and know that you have greatness inside of you. Listen, we are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Please like, share, subscribe. Let someone know that we are here. All creating a platform for you to be a better version of you. Listen, we are soaring to heights, meaning we are shattering every opinion that people have put over you, any cage, any barriers that they try to put you in. Listen, this is here where you tell your truth, your story and inspire somebody else to be better. Listen, Jehyve, again, thank you so much for being on the show. We will follow you. Listen, the book, the podcast, watch. Um, Tell somebody else. Maybe this has not been for you, but it can benefit somebody. Maybe you have a son, a grandson, an uncle, a cousin, or something. Gift them a book. Until then, we'll see you again, guys, next week. Stay tuned. Be blessed.